Greetings, everybody. We've gathered around the table today, and it's going to be a little bit of a different episode. It's going to get into a little bit of an explanation of what we're doing around here.
Maybe long, maybe short, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about for a while our grading system. And if you've noticed on the last couple of weeks of our videos, we've been throwing up grading systems at the end. And hopefully you guys have watched till the end. Probably not, because I've seen the average runtime for our videos. But even still.
It's not as long as our videos are, so get on that. Watch more.
At least go to the end so you can see the grading system of what we actually recognize if you're going to watch anything. But yeah, we started to do that, and we said we had an algorithm. We didn't even know what the algorithm was.
It was in process at that time.
Yeah. But I think we've actually all sat down, we figured out something that we can all agree on and try to give some consistency to some of our knife reviews. So
Indeed.
This week we're going to tell you why we're giving grading systems and how we're ranking them. So,
But before we get into that, pocket dumps.
I see what's going on. I see what's
Dump
going
a
on.
pocket.
Yep. Today I've got my Fair Noble Chaparral. It is a tried and true classic staple.
Wait.
There we go. Get it shiny
yeah,
pretty.
all about the shiny.
It's a pretty knife.
That it is.
Very much
Oh,
is.
Oh, we got out of focus with the
yeah, just
glaring.
right at the end there though, so it was okay. So yeah, that's my little classic guy today that I'm carrying.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Next up,
I don't know.
Joe.
Sure. That was arbitrary.
Which of the
Yep.
other knives you have are you going to pick?
Well, this is the one that's been in the front right pocket. Yeah, so I'm going to choose this
It's the
one.
most important pocket.
It is.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, it is, man.
The lefty even agrees.
Well, I was agreeing for him.
Yeah, that's a wrong statement.
But I'm just saying.
So don't agree on my behalf. Is that what
Anyway.
you're saying?
No. I don't agree on any of your behalves.
So the knife.
The knife with M390 and titanium and carbon fiber is kind of a sweet spot for me. I like it. It's a thing.
It's a pretty cool
It's
little knife.
M390,
Environmental
yeah,
knife.
thick chunk of M390, Jeebus.
Yeah. It's one of my
So-
favorite users. I love them.
Abusable.
Oh, yeah.
And Paul.
And yeah, I got the Benchmade Anthem this week because of reasons. And it's that way down specifically on purpose because, we don't want to get like a community strike on YouTube.
We're a family channel.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to put it pocket clip side up is offensive and
Rude, inappropriate,
you
and
need to have a big black censor mark.
Yeah.
we
Because
couldn't
it
do
will-
something like that.
Well, you probably would, but that just makes me edit more, so let's not.
Terrible.
My eyes!
So last but not least, I guess that's me.
Yeah.
I'm going to surprise all you motherfuckers again. I got a Boker Quaken.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Where'd you pick that
Titanium,
up
carbon
from?
fiber, VG10.
I wonder if
Bask in the newness of a Boker Quaken.
Where'd you pick that up from?
Yeah. So we know a gentleman named Corbin
Yeah, we do.
Nice.
that
motherfucker.
Yeah.
came in along the way. I might flip it.
Joe's jealousy is real right now.
I know it is.
I'm
Both
thinking
of my
about
jealousies real,
stabbing you in the
to be
thigh and running off with your knife.
I'll tell you what, you get yourself a green micarta Quaken or a black tactical Quaken, and we'll play tradesies. How about that?
All right, I'll think about that.
Okay.
Well, fuck me. All
Because
right.
that's titanium and carbon fiber, and that's a pretty knife.
It
That
is.
is a
So-
gorgeous knife.
We might use a backup review about this knife coming along the way.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, VG10 ball bearing. It's a pretty knife. IKVS Flavio Acoma. Shout out. That guy knows what he's doing.
But he does.
Hell yeah.
You and your ball bearing Benchmade.
I was gonna say this guy is an absolute lunatic for Benchmates.
We have 5 minutes left in the video.
So grading system, you say?
All right, let's break into that shit.
All right.
So, for the grading system, kind of the first breakdown that we were doing was into a personal and objective categories. So, within the personal, we were going to be covering things such as ergonomics, how we all feel it in our individual hands.
I think that's a good place to start, honestly, as far as the personal ergonomics, because we've got 4 guys here with 4 different shaped hands, very obviously different shaped hands. I think we get a good opinion overall on what people want to see, and even if you don't agree with 1 or 2 people, you've got Nigel that you can agree with, because Jesus, XL meaty glove over here. Yeah. Anyway.
Meaty glove.
Don't Don't make him choke. Not yet.
Meaty gloves.
Kind of next little category that we had into the personal was the material choices and how we felt about them.
There's premium materials, but then there's stuff that really tickles our particular fancies.
As far as these guys, I was very excited for those materials to come in.
Absolutely.
Raffier Noble, yeah, they're
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah.
And it's funny, that actually brings up a good point about personal preference on materials.
We should just put these in the middle for people to oogle on.
Carbon fiber, titanium, we are all suckers for this, but the Raffier Noble brings up a good point on even knife to knife.
Yeah.
How the personal styling of each individual person here likes a different pattern. We've seen enough of the Raffier Noble knives, and we've pulled them out of the boxes and we've checked out the scales and the meshes. And I think we all can come to agreement that we don't agree sometimes
Yeah.
on
Yep.
the patterns, and I think that's what's cool about it is
It's
the
highly
uniqueness of it.
subjective.
I like the fact that even among that, it's very specific to like left and right carry. Like, because this one is nicer on one side than the other, too,
Yeah,
right?
and that was definitely part of my choosing criteria. As I knew I was going to be flipping
The
clip
face.
over.
Yeah, exactly.
so-
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's very
And then
cool that
material
way.
choices even as simple as something like FRN
Mhm.
kind of thing, or like aluminum. And
Compared to the titanium
yeah, you
sort of
bet.
thing. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a grading system, and we're going to give our personal preferences on what we like in materials. So
Next
I'm
category.
not putting this away. Leave it right there. Just do that thing.
Yeah, kind of next category down from the material choice was the aesthetics of the knife, is what we thought of it visually.
We can all agree that things look fancy, look pretty, but I mean, we all like very different shaped knives.
Yeah, that being
Examples
said,
here.
yeah, everything on the table, though, I will say is aesthetically pleasing. Basic range of like 6 to 8, I'm going to say, for aesthetics on the table.
Well, and that's funny that you point to 6, because honestly, with better materials, I'd give the aesthetics a lot higher.
Yeah.
God bless Tantos. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
honestly, when it comes to aesthetics, and so we're going to come that into play, and that's going to give its own uniqueness.
The main reason I want a knife like that so
Oh
much
my
is because of the
goodness.
aesthetics of it.
The
Yeah.
sleekness of this knife,
Yeah.
it's a big reason I own it. And we'll get into why I want the micarta thumb-plated one instead. But anyway,
Because it's a flipper.
I think we all know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
After the aesthetics was kind of pocket factor, the usage of it, how the lock engages, stuff like that.
well, no, not so much the lock engaging. It's the pocket factor, how it feels in the pocket,
How it is to get in and out of the pocket.
how it is to deploy out of the pocket. Yeah, how tight the clip is, things like
How does
that.
it feel resting there? What will you tolerate to have stuff in your pocket?
Obviously,
Yeah.
weight and thickness becomes a factor on some
Yeah.
of the beefier stuff. You don't have an Adamas here today,
No,
but
closest
yeah.
I've got.
Anyway,
It's there.
yeah, so I think that's a little bit different in the pocket factor. And again, we all have different opinions on what's acceptable to
Yeah.
put in your pocket.
I'd rock that.
That it's not the biggest thing I've seen
No.
this guy pull out of his pants.
It's not the big
Hey,
thing.
Heyo.
Hey.
Oh my.
It's like, I'm not sure if I should be embarrassed or flattered or both. Thanks.
Yes.
I'm just disturbed.
Yeah,
As you should be.
There's a good, healthy mix of that.
that's like,
And then the last category for our personal was our enthusiasm over the knife. And that will kind of touch base on our first visual impression, seeing pictures of it online compared to getting it in hand, and if that has changed or fluctuated at all.
I think just overall enthusiasm before and after our first impressions when we get to check it out, and when you all see it come up online and the first visual of a new knife that no one's seen before, and you're like, either, oh, what is that? That's cool, or who in God's name decided to produce this knife?
And whether or not lived up to that opinion.
Yeah, and it goes both ways in person after that. So the enthusiasm category, I think, is going to be a fun one to be able to grade, right?
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yep. So now that we've rounded out the kind of personal side of the grading system, the other side, the objective, will be scoring the more quantifiable sort of things rather than just our personal feelings on it.
Taking our opinions out of it, putting facts down on the table, and saying no one can argue about these kind of facts type of thing, right? So I think you'll probably see some similar scores like we kind of talked about pre-recording, but we are still leaving some room for personal opinion on the upcoming subjects.
There are biases that we all have, but I think we all have the ability to still think objectively about these things.
Step outside the box and call it what it is, type of thing, right? So
kind of first category into that is going to be materials versus cost. Does the price point justify the materials that they put into the object?
yeah,
Which is definitely going to change depending on how much you like that thing.
Well, of course, I love the design for that.
but again,
Doesn't
that's you
price.
stepping out of it personally and
Yeah.
going, is FRN worth $100 or is it worth $60? Or is carbon fiber and titanium worth $600 or is
I'll
it
give you
worth
that.
$400 or $300 or or you have to step back out of the personal.
Honestly, I think when it comes to this, I think the best way to think about this is how does it stand in terms of market value?
Compared to other things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Unique materials that aren't seen before and have crazy structure. Integrals. Well, think about the process to make Refila Noble.
Oh,
and you can
100%.
buy this knife for $175 Canadian, give or take, type of thing, 150 to 200 in that price range, right? Phenomenal just for the materials alone.
100%. I was suggesting even on the opposite side of things, where it's going to be you're going to pay more for that. No questions about it.
You got an integral design, and what he's talking about is the Benchmade Anthem, which we all know and love, but is one-piece titanium, which the milling and the machining and the perfection has got to be bang on.
Yeah, you're paying
Yeah.
a machinist.
Whereas he's got some random artistic leeway to make some fun stuff, but at the same time, the process is not cheap to make. But anyway, that's definitely going to be one, is materials, for sure.
Yep. Next category will be fit and finish. Is how well is it nicely made?
And again, versus cost.
Yeah.
Cost
We
will
are
play a part in
putting
it.
cost into two categories, but it's versus materials and versus fit and finish.
You're not going to try and compare these two knives to each other. It's not a fair comparison.
I'm not going to mind if I have a slight raised burr on the inside of the liner that I can't feel. I'm not going to mind that on a knife of this price. Whereas if I'm paying $250 or more,
Yeah.
I don't want to
Everything
see it.
slips away. Yeah.
Getting into the fit and finish of the things is the next category, and how well they're made, how cleanly it's produced.
And measured against the cost of the knife, of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, like we were saying, it brought up cost a second time around, but I think it is a valid argument to have cost brought up with fit and finish, attention to detail, things like that type of idea, as well as the materials you're paying for. And I think it's a valid excuse to put cost into two categories, to rank them separately because there are versus these two things.
Yeah.
And I think it's respectable to separate those opinions, right?
Yeah, and within fit and finish is going to kind of be a little bit of the snobbery factor of it all, which we touched base on in the last episode with things such as grind lines, centering, lockup, and stuff like that.
Things that knife guys notice.
Blade centering, machining, fit and finish.
How it fits in the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things on the fit and finish. If you didn't see last week's video, go back because we definitely go into detail about the nerdery on some of the things that drive us crazy. That the average person would be like, "What are you even looking at?" Right
Why does
now?"
that matter?
Yeah.
But
It matters.
And then the next category down was going to be cutability, a function of the knife sort of thing.
So in this category, it's kind of unique where we're not, a lot of these things we are actually borrowing, and it's a good time to mention we're borrowing from the Cutting Edge. So we'll plow a Cutting Edge up there for the advertisement, and yeah,
Plow it.
it's all about the plow and the Cutting Edge. But we like them. They let us do what we want, and they let us take knives and do reviews on knives, and we really, really appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of it, we are still just borrowing the knives, so we're not doing any heavy testing on them or anything like that.
That being said, we all have pretty big collections. We've all used the knives in our collections. We know how certain blade geometries are going to act.
Yeah.
When you're looking at differences in blade stock thickness or between a Chaparral and an Emerson, you're looking at a blade depths between a Lion Steel and a Quaken.
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking at the taper, the grind, the hollow, the flat, the saber. We're all in the knife nerdiness enough to know the differences between these things to understand performance.
How thick it is behind the edge.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
Ultimately, that comes
Ultimately.
down to it.
And that's right at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
how
There's-
thick it is behind the edge.
There's a certain level of trust that the knives we're reviewing have been properly heat treated by the manufacturers, that none of the knives have been burned during sharpening. Like, if
Yeah.
everything is as they say, then we can expect these results.
And some of the companies are more upfront about telling us those specs than other companies, and we really appreciate the more open and honest they are, especially about the HRCs. I know a lot of non-knife people won't know what the hell we're talking about on that one, but I mean, the Rockwell and the hardness comes into play
They
a
stopped
lot.
listening.
They stopped listening 8 to 11 minutes ago,
There you go.
on average. But,
And
yeah.
just to make sure everyone else keeps listening, let's speed along.
All right.
Next up,
This fucking guy.
trying
Anyway,
to make
He's doing his job. Let him.
Yeah, yeah.
it's 3 minutes. We got plenty of time.
So next up is going to be the execution of the ergonomics. So this guy, for example, the intended design of the ergonomics was supposed to be that sleek, slim, neutral-handled, and they executed that very well.
You look at an Anthem in much the same category of the sleek.
Mhm.
Slender, yeah. Nice.
You bet. You look at things with a high ergonomic. Modus has a little bit. Lion Steel, Spartan, things like that have
Yeah.
a heavy finger groove pattern, things
Deep
like
finger
that. Type
trolls,
of thing.
lots of real estate for grip.
I think that's where you're going to get your variances on things like the non-personal aspect of ergonomics.
Mhm.
Is, can you appreciate this knife even if it's not built for your own specific hand size?
I like to think we'll all meet that challenge.
I hope we can be honest about it, and for the viewers as well.
That's why there's 4 of us. Average it out between us, and we can have an idea of what.
And I'll call you out if I know you're
Exactly.
I expect to say,
And vice versa.
yeah.
And then the last category was going to be the lock and how it functions, how easy it is to deploy,
How strong it would be.
how strong it would be. I'm going to pull this guy up again as far as ease of access, if they've got a cutout relief or if it's just completely flush and you have to kind of dig your hand in there to
How much
push
of
the
a pain
lock
in the
over.
ass?
Well, compared to a ZT that's beautifully chamfered on the lock face, everyone knows, like, very beautifully.
Very ease of access.
You bet. So
Yeah.
variances like that, ease of access.
Chamfered versus like gimped, where it's tearing your thumb up when you're opening it.
And honestly, we kind of struggled with this one, specifically because of one knife sitting on the table right now is the Benchmade access lock. And it's beautiful that it's a non-contemporary access lock for this example, because it does kind of bring up our point
Yep.
of you have to look at every lock for what it is. Every liner's not going to be the same. Every lockback's not going to be the same. Every access lock is not going to be the same, and we're going to try to give you as non-biased of opinion as we possibly can for each individual aspect of the locking mechanisms.
That's exactly it.
Indeed. And yeah, that kind of rounds out what the grading system is going to be. So that all being said, I'm going to give this video a B- just because it got a little rambly. We were trying to be a little bit shorter, but it was still good. It was still fun.
20 minutes. Sorry, guys.
Telling what the testing is, but it's a very specific in depth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So honestly, for 10 factors, 2 minutes a factor with 4 guys bullshitting,
It was good. It was still
I
fun.
give it a fucking A. Not an A minus, not an A plus, a good solid A. Like, we set to a
Solid
task.
Yep.
As of the timer right now, we're sitting on 28 seconds, and that gives YouTube bullshitters 14 seconds. Go.
I tried to stay quiet for a reason. I knew it would just go off.
But yeah, no.
Hey, we'll come back with fancy charts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Individual charts. We're going to do that.
Indeed.
We didn't talk about that, but we will actually throw up each individual chart and then hopefully give you an overall average of those 4 charts, just to make it all scientific-y and such for everyone here.
Scientific.
Indeed.
You bet.
Yep. And
And-
Science.
Who knows? Maybe we'll throw up the charts for other people to download so you can play along with us.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. We put it up as an app that you can download or some sort of downloadable file for your own grading system that we can comment on.
Mhm.
And hopefully we have this going for a while because I like that idea.
Yeah, for sure.
So that being said, we should round it off here for this week. Nigel the Smith saying goodbye.
I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
I am the Iron Joe.
XL.ca.
We will catch you again next week.
Bow, 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 bow.
We don't need bigger knives.